people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Which one of them do you want next?
It doesn't matter who's next. If I had to pick, I'm gonna be honest, it would be Spence because that's my dream fight. I've been calling it since
AT&T.
AT&T. There you go. At the Cowboys Stadium, and I just think that's my dream fight. And I don't care what anyone says about it. But anyone else, like I said, anyone can get it respectfully. I just want to fight the best. I'm just a competitive guy. Yeah.
He just wants to fight the best because he's a competitive guy. You tell me if you think Errol Spence Jr. is a competitive fight 2 years out from his last outing when he got destroyed. This is why I don't put boxers on a pedestal, not by default, like some other content creators do, as if they're all noble by default, or brave by default. There's nothing noble or brave about pursuing a fight with today's Errol Spence Jr. But Team Ortiz have been at this for well over a year now, for a while now. They know what he's coming from just as much as I or you. They know what effect 2 years of inactivity can have on a fighter because Vergil is a fighter. When he was coming off a stint of inactivity, who did he fight? Thomas Dulorme, Frederick Lawson, that he now expects Errol Spence Jr. to fight him off of his stint of inactivity. I wonder why, all while sandbagging it for the Boots fight. Like I told you they would. I told you that shit wasn't going to be next. I don't care who was saying what in the buildup of this weekend's fight. I told you the whole time. And it's for this reason I don't put fighters on a pedestal by default. No, they're not all noble. They're not all brave. Some of them are brazen opportunists, just like their managers, just like their promoters, always searching for the low-hanging fruit. Because if you go from Lubin, who had been knocked out 2 times already, to Errol Spence Jr., who just got knocked out, well, that's going from bad to worse. Isn't it? I mean, at least Lubin had been fighting. At least he was coming off a string of victories. Errol's still coming off a loss, and this is who you want. That's your dream fight. And you can't just pawn off the blame for this cowardly strategy on Vergil's promoter or Vergil's manager, that it's his team that wants this, it's just them. No, Vergil out of his own mouth, with his own words. What is there to be gained in facing today's Errol Spence Jr.? Certainly not a title, not an alphabet title. Errol's not a champion. A lot of the criticism that Vergil has faced in recent months is that he's campaigned across 2 weight classes and has yet to fight for a full title. It's looking more and more like he really doesn't want one. He doesn't want to. He's been WBC interim champion for well over a year now, and he didn't put any pressure at all on Sebastian Fundora. Well, they did try to negotiate with Xander. You call that publicity stunt? A negotiation? Asking for half the pot. Asking to get what the champion gets on the premise that what? That you're the A-side? Let me remind you of something. When Xander Zayas versus Vergil Ortiz first becomes a conversation, maybe you guys forgot that Xander initially accepted the fight. He accepted the fight with Vergil. This was before he won the WBO title, and Vergil and his team decided to fight somebody else. Did you forget? They chose to fight Madrimov. So Xander moved on, and he fought for an alphabet title, became a world champion, and now you're asking him for half? That's the difference between Xander Zayas and Vergil Ortiz, I think. They both had a world title opportunity, a shot at the same guy, Sebastian Fundora. When Xander got his opportunity, he did his best to take it, whereas Vergil, he just sat on it. When Xander got his opportunity, he forced Sebastian Fundora to either fight him or vacate, whereas Vergil, the whole year and a half or however long it's been that Vergil's been interim champion, he ain't put no pressure whatsoever on Sebastian Fundora. So when he says that he's a competitive fighter, don't make me laugh. That he only wants to fight the best fighters because fighting Errol Spence Jr. off a 2-year layoff and a life-altering beating, that's Errol at his best? Don't make me laugh. I don't think enough people in the media are letting Vergil Ortiz have it How could you possibly characterize that as a dream fight? I guess because so much of the media now are freelancers that rely on access to produce content. They don't want to ruffle Vergil's feathers. They're not going to press him about it, lest they lose access to that fighter. That's their bread and butter. Understandable. The way it used to be, pundits worked for major news networks and periodicals. They were not relying on the fighter per se to pay the rent, keep the lights on. Because they got paid by the paper, or they got paid by the news network. Whereas now, things are different. So fighters don't get the heat that they used to in this postmodern era. You get sound bites like that one from Vergil, who's got a lot of fucking nerve. You want to fight Spence. For what? Why? Because he got damn near killed in his last fight. That's why. Because Vergil and Golden Boy jointly want to stay on Easy Street. What have I been telling you all along? They are not gonna fight Boots Ennis next. You could like Boots, you could love him, you could hate him, but I told you the whole time, these guys ain't gonna fight him. Don't expect Vergil and the people at Golden Boy to say the quiet part out loud. They're gonna talk about Errol Spence Jr. like it's 2018 or 2019. Talk about him like he didn't get into a car accident. Talk about him like he didn't get his ass handed to him by Terrence Crawford. They're gonna talk about him like he still got 3 alphabet titles. Don't expect them to say the quiet part out loud, but they don't need to for what is obvious. It's very obvious why you're still pursuing Errol. Which allows us to segue to what is fast becoming one of the most popular segments here on the channel, Ring IQ Hate Mail. User who goes by the name R. de Leon said, as usual, Jules continues to hate on Vergil Ortiz. Ortiz made you look like a hypocrite once again. How did he do that? Because I picked him to beat Erickson Lubin along with everybody else, the fight fans, the bookies, the odds makers. How'd he do that? R. de Leon didn't divulge. He said he'll beat anyone at 154, and you just have to wait and see. Beat anyone at 154 because he knocked out Lubin? Because that's never been done before. He can only fight one at a time, so quit your whining. Who's whining? You're the one whining. Everything I said happened. He beat Erickson Lubin, and now he's not fighting Boots. You're just mad that I was right, and you don't have an argument to make. You're just mad that I'm not one of these content creators that's gonna make excuses for your paisa because I don't give a fuck if he's your paisa. You seem to think that your tribalism is somehow different from everybody else's. It's not. Misty-eyed fruitcakes find out that a fighter has anything in common with them and they're ready to die on a hill over them. That's how it always goes. Oh, because he's got the same ethnicity as me, or he used to live down the street. We went to the same school together. We wear the same size condoms. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I don't give a flamingo-shaped fuck whatever it is you have in common with Vergil Ortiz or why you think I'm supposed to make excuses for him. Everything I said would happen did happen. Why are you mad? Because Golden Boy has made it very obvious they've no intention of fighting Jaron Boots Ennis next. Why are you mad? Because Vergil Ortiz, out of his own mouth, said that if it were up to him, he'd fight Errol Spence Jr. next. Not Boots. Why are you mad? Because they're making it very hard for you to spin this. Very easy for me to point it out. We're all hearing the same sound bites, watching the same videos, reading the same news. Worse, everything I said is uploaded. It's recorded. So when I said beforehand that Vergil Ortiz would find a way out, that they would not fight Boots Ennis next, I was right. I don't expect your bitch ass to be happy about that, but all the same, I was right. Think that because you share a common lineage with a Vergil Ortiz that the rest of the world gives a damn, and on that predication they're supposed to make excuses for him? Because they're not going to. I'm not going to. And we both know that's the only reason you're going up to bat for him. That's the only reason you're making excuses for him. But I don't give a fuck if Vergil is your paisa. Guy's got the nerve to say, as usual, Jules continues to hate on Vergil Ortiz. But what about what I said constitutes hate? All I said was, Vergil's gonna beat Lubin, and then he's not gonna fight Boots. All of that checked out. All of that turned out to be true. What about that constitutes hate? See, this must be a young guy. It's gotta be, because that's how this younger generation tries to skirt around the facts. They try to call it hate, as if there's anything irrational, inexplicable about what I said, when every single thing I said was explained, and it all turned out to be true, so it's not hate. It's called logic, and you're a man fan. You're a bitch. Culero. You're a bitch. The fuck are you supposed to be, Vergil's publicist, combing the internet for people to argue with? He ducked Terrence Crawford. He ducked him. Paco exposed that a long time ago. My opinion, he ducked Xander Zayas, too. Ducked him, too. And now he's ducking Boots Ennis. Quite obviously, ducking Boots Ennis to pursue low-hanging fruit. For fear of ending up on Ring IQ hate mail, like so many others, Arde Leon subsequently deleted this comment from under this video, though not before I screen grabbed it, because I knew I could have a lot of fun with this idiot. Knows whatever talking points he's made are untenable and cannot be defended. This looks and sounds like a stone cold duck, and you don't want me to point it out, but I'm still going to. There's a protection program going on at Golden Boy Promotions right now. It's been going on. How Floyd Schofield mysteriously pulled out of the Ashton Silva fight, then the Shakur Stevenson fight, how they rejected the Abdullah Mason fight. There's a protection program going on at Golden Boy Promotions right now. How Vergil Ortiz all of a sudden doesn't want to fight Boots Ennis. Instead, he wants to fight Errol Spence. There's a protection program. Zurdo's under protection. He's not going to fight Jai Opetaia. The same way that I knew Vergil would not fight Boots after the Lubin fight. I know that Zurdo Ramirez, he don't want no parts of Jai Opetaia. Does Oscar De La Hoya eyes January or February for Zurdo Ramirez's ring return? Jai Opetaia is fighting at the end of this year in December. Zurdo could be coming back in the following month. Theoretically, that would put both champions on the same schedule, and yet the fight remains elusive. Among the many moves being made by Golden Boy, it's mapping out the 2026 campaign for Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez. Oscar De La Hoya provided an update about the unified WBA, WBO Cruiserweight champion who was limited to just one fight this year. Mexico's Ramirez, 48-1, underwent shoulder surgery shortly after his points win over Uniel Dorticos in June, and has spent the past several months recovering, but is keen to resume his career. You believe the injury is fake. I believe a good number of Golden Boy Promotions fighters always seem to fall ill or get injured at very convenient times. The good news is that the 34-year-old Southpaw has been cleared for full training and is geared for a ring return in the first quarter of the new year. I want to see him back healthy first and foremost. De La Hoya, chairman of Golden Boy, told DAZN, I want to see him back in the ring January or February. Ramirez recently re-signed with Golden Boy, extending a working relationship that was formed in early 2021. They've worked together for each of his past 8 fights. Ramirez suffered his lone loss during that stretch via unanimous decision to the then unbeaten Dimitri Bivol for the WBA light heavyweight title in November of 2022. The result was a disappointment for Ramirez, though he remained appreciative of Golden Boy's persistence in forcing all involved parties to push forward with the fight. While light heavyweight proved an unsuccessful stop in Ramirez's bid to become a 2-weight world champion, he hit pay dirt at cruiser. He is 4-0 in the cruiserweight division, in which he has recorded title-winning efforts over Arsene Goulamarian for the WBA title and Chris Billum-Smith for the WBO during his brilliant 2024 campaign. His lone fight of 2025 involved him satisfying his WBA mandatory with a win over Uniel Dorticos. Ramirez is not yet bound by the WBO, who approved a request for Germany's Roman Frez to pursue an interim title fight with countryman Tahir Karavik. Well, how could the injury be fake? I mean, aren't you supposed to send medical documentation to the sanctioning bodies to prove that you are in fact injured and unable to compete? Yeah, sometimes if you've been out for a while and a mandatory is due, but to my knowledge, I don't know that Zurdo had to do that, to send any paperwork to the WBO. A tune-up level bout is expected for Ramirez's first fight back, after which the industry expectation will be of an attractive showdown with lineal and IBF champion Jai Opetaia. Ever the gamesman, De La Hoya, a Hall of Fame former 6th Division champion, wishes to keep options open for his cruiserweight charge. There are a lot of big names, insisted De La Hoya. When pressed on the possibility of Opetaia versus Ramirez, he said, who knows? Maybe Zurdo versus David Benavidez. There it is. That's the protection plan. That's the program. That's what I've been telling you the whole time. Don't get too attached to the idea that David Benavidez is going to fight a who's who of guys at light heavyweight. And definitely don't get attached to the idea that when Zurdo comes back, he's going to fight Jai. I've long maintained Golden Boy Promotions is non-committal to that fight. Take a head count. This requires some pattern recognition. Floyd Schofield already ducked Shakur Stevenson. He already ducked Abdullah Mason. Vergil Ortiz already ducked Terrence Crawford. And he's in the process of ducking Boots Ennis and Zurdo Ramirez. He's ducking Jai Opetaia. In my humble opinion, he's been ducking Jai Opetaia. He's only had one fight this year. That one fight could have been a unification match with Jai Opetaia if he really wanted it. Uniel was his mandatory, and that's all well and good. But we know mandatories can be circumvented with unification matches if both champions want to unify. Zurdo didn't. It's as simple as that. I don't think it was ever really Oscar De La Hoya's plan to put Zurdo in there with Jai Opetaia, even though it's the best fight to make at cruiserweight. Best for the division, best for the business of boxing, but perhaps not the best for Golden Boy. Not if you don't like your boy's chances, not if you don't think Zurdo is going to win. Oscar doesn't want to make it, and it's very obvious. He would rather make a Benavidez fight. This requires some pattern recognition, or haven't you noticed that a good number of Golden Boy Promotions' fighters always seem to fall injured at very, very convenient times, like Floyd Schofield falling ill before the Stevenson fight, Vergil Ortiz sitting out all of the summer months after the Israel Madrimov fight, and Zurdo Ramirez after the Dorticos fight. Oh, he's got a shoulder injury. He needs shoulder surgery. These guys always seem to fall ill or injured at very, very opportune times when a lot is expected of them, and I don't buy it. As far as I'm concerned, every single one of those situations could have been a fake illness, could have been a fake injury. I don't trust Golden Boy. Pattern recognition leads me to believe that Golden Boy Promotions is in the process of protecting what few flagship fighters they have, because they don't have that many. So they're not just going to ship him off to some show in Saudi to be pawns on Turkey's chessboard. That's why Vergil Ortiz all of a sudden doesn't want to fight Boots Ennis. That's why Zurdo Ramirez versus Jai Opetaia is not a lock. I'm surprised that more people in the media don't notice it, because they get paid to do so. These are supposed to be journalists that cover the sport of boxing, and you don't notice that so many of Golden Boy Promotions' fighters always pull out injured or ill at very, very opportune times. With Vergil, they're taking a much more brazen approach. They're not even claiming that he's injured or ill or anything like that, while they are advocating for other fights instead of the Boots fight. So maybe they realize that one or some of us content creators are onto them, onto their game, so they're just saying, fuck it. It's not gonna happen, and it ain't gonna happen. Fuck it. But I think a lot more people in the media, a lot more content creators, need to start holding Golden Boy Promotions' feet to the fire for depriving us of the fights that boxing needs. The cruiserweight division needs Opetaia versus Ramirez. The junior middleweight division needs Ortiz versus Boots. And it's as simple as that.